Hola, senor and senora says. My name is... That is terrible introduction. That is the worst introduction we've ever done. Anyways, it's not getting cut out. That is probably going to go on the highlight reel. We are here tonight, as you can probably tell, for EML 21. It's Season 4, Round 4 of the Championship, as we take in the Spanish Grand Prix from, of course, the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. And as Chanel once said, take a video and watch it slow-mo. My name is James Hurd, and I'm going to be taking to the stream, of course, as always, on a fine Wednesday evening. And joining me in the comment box, it is my German colleague, it is Mr. Alex the G. Alex, how you doing?
That caught me by surprise a little bit. Good evening, everyone, from my side as well. I'm feeling great, and yeah, Spanish Grand Prix, round 4, and while the championship may be looking slightly wide open there towards, let's say, the slightly further down sections of the field. This is still going to be a very good race because there are multiple great lineups on this EML Premier 1 grid, and therefore there's certainly a lot to look out for, and yeah, some new faces gracing the EML Premier 1 grid today.
Yeah, new faces as well to the top step of the podium last week as well. Need to remind anyone that it was Mr. NLR Keki who did, of course, take the win in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in Imola. Louis, of course, finished in second, which was a bit of a topsy-turvy day for the Shazoo team, of course, in second. Atlas as well finishing there in third, so 3 teams actually fitting out the first 3 places as well last week in Imola. Looking through the standings as well, coming into tonight when they load up on my screen. Well, as you mentioned there, Shazoo leading the way on 135 points. It was still a very good night for them. They doubled the amount of points that pretty much they'd had previous week. So 135 points to their name, absolutely running away with things. I think as predicted. Second down to ninth, though, was very interesting. We have got basically, and I'm trying to do the quick calculations here, 36 points, I think, between second down to 9 in terms of the team so far. So FER in second on 78, VIR in third on 70, NLR with their win, of course, last time out with Keki on 61, ET8 in fifth on 59, Trust Esports in sixth on 52. I will come on to them in just a second. GSP in 7th and 46, FRL in 8th and 45, Outplayed Racing in 9th and 42. They, of course, are the reserve team, however, not actually here tonight, I believe, in terms of fielding the team. And speaking of not fielding the team, TTG have not fielded the team tonight. They're still in 10th position, though, in the standings on 28 points, and they haven't fielded a full lineup, so we are only getting 18 drivers for tonight as well. And while we're on the Trust Esports subject as well, I believe I saw the Stewards report somewhere from earlier on, and I'm just trying to find where the Stewards reports are. You might have them before me, because I've just cut totally my bearings in terms of the Stewards reports. There we are, Stewards office. Where am I looking? Yeah, there was quite a few incidents actually last week in Imola. Qualifying ban for Atlas, and that was because, or for one of his teammates, that was because of an incident between FRL Rotation and Atlas, and I think that was coming down into the Villeneuve chicane, if I'm not mistaken. 2 penalty points, Predator, and a 15-second time penalty as a result of collision with Marcus Costa. That was as a result of the penalty being more severe as he crashes onto a straight, completely unnecessary, which is what we mentioned, of course, in commentary. Stefano and Xenox, their incident, no further action. Xenox and Urpex incident, no further action. And then Urpek and Yossi in the end got 2 penalty points, 10-second time penalty, and added on to his race time, and that was pushing Urpek out wide, coming out of, I think, the Tamburello chicane. And Urpek and Pease, penalty points for Pease and a 10-second time penalty as well in terms of the final race time, basically because on the explanation it says brakes too late. Literally the explanation that is in the Stewards report. Yossi has been awarded a one-race ban as well as P's being converted into a 3-point deduction for Relentless as well. So Relentless there, I think, still at the back of the field. They're not including in the points system, but I think they are down there at the bottom end of the field so far. But Yossi there, obviously having a reprimand and a one-way ban as well for both rounds 2 and round 3. Come to show, though, Alex, the Stewards are clamping down hard on the drivers, especially the actions of Trust Esports last week.
Yeah, overall, that's obviously pretty good to see, because, well, you can't have some of those driving standards that we had last week. Unfortunately, it was still obviously a very good race due to the strategy being a bit, well, thrown out the window with that early safety car. But yeah, overall, it was still very chaotic, and therefore it's very good to see the stewards taking action and clamping down on this a little bit, as you said. And yeah, now some penalties being awarded, and hopefully that means the teams will have a bit of a more careful eye with how the drivers are showing up on the racetrack, and yeah, helping us in delivering a better racing spectacle for us all to see. As obviously the first 2 rounds have been, the third round was still very, very exciting, of course, but particularly that one chaos is what I remember of that right now. We want to avoid that, and therefore very good on the stewards to clamp down on this, award some pretty, well, it was some pretty harsh penalties overall in the end, but I would say it is a very good move of them to clamp down a little bit and show the teams the direction they're heading in.
Yeah, definitely so, and I think it's better to clamp down now than rather clamp down at the end of the season, which I think is what we've seen in TML, where the stewards haven't... Well, they have been doing their job, don't get me wrong, the stewards have been doing their job brilliantly in TML. However, though, penalties are a bit inconsistent, so therefore I think it is better to clamp down easier in the season and earlier in the season, rather than actually going on a little bit later on in the season, then clamping down, and then it's pretty much at the end of the season, and then everyone breaks loose into all sorts of absolute carnage towards the end of the season. It's better to clamp down on it now. That's what we're trying to say, definitely, in terms of that. And also, the driver's standings, I think we've got to cover as well, which I've actually got up handily on the app, which you can download for free, of course, and access if you do want to. And driver's standings is as follows. Louis leads the way on 50 points. This is according to the app currently. Rowan there in second on 31 points. Keki, who gained 38 positions apparently last week in the driver's standings, in third on 30 points. Jensen there in fourth on 30. Radadal in fifth on 29. He's been very consistent in the races he's competed in so far. Jeroen in sixth on 27. Marl on seventh on 26. Chris also on 26. OP Keen in ninth on 25. And Rick there in 10th on 24 points. But yeah, Keki gaining 38 positions, I think, is very good to see in terms of the driver's standings. And that is, of course, very, very poised, of course, from last week's performance. The NLR team, of course, not represented by Keki this week. They are, in fact, represented. And I'm going to run you through the driver lineup very shortly indeed. Now, I got tagged in this. Where is it? Is it here? There we are. Andrew and Scarlon due to be in for VIR. Zero and Chris in for F4 GSP. Gustav and Radadal in the all-Scandinavian lineup for ET8. TTG not fielding the team, so they've got no drivers. Wouter and P's due to be racing for Relentless. However, there is a change, of course, in the Relentless lineup. I think Izzat has come in for Wouter, if I'm not mistaken. P's is certainly there in the Alpine. Stefano and Jeroen there for FBR. Aurelien, my favourite Frenchman. Zane as well for Shazoo, the Academy man looking to try and outperform his teammate like he nearly did last week. Gabrielle and Kart Racer in for NLR. FRL rotation, FRL Ginger in for FRL, and Mubarak and Xenox in for the Trust Racing team as well. And a big announcement that came just a couple of days ago, I think it was actually yesterday it came out. We are now powered by ET8 Esports, which hopefully is not going to give them a bias in terms of the drivers or the championship standings whatsoever, but fantastic to have them on board, and it is, of course, really key for an event like this to grow with a big team like ET8 on board as well.
Yes, of course it is, and ET8 obviously present on all the three platforms, Xbox, PC, and of course PlayStation, like we are right here. And yeah, at the very peak of the PlayStation team events, I would say it is obviously a very, very good thing that a team like ET8 are putting their name on the forefront, and EML Premier 1 is certainly very well represented by this team, who are also waving their flags, of course, today in that McLaren, as you said, Gustav and Ryderdal racing today. And yeah, certainly very exciting stuff. And I think moving forward, this is definitely going to be a step in the right direction, and perhaps even attracting more teams, more great teams into this championship, which has already delivered so many great moments, so many great races, and certainly is looking to deliver more great seasons as we have qualifying just starting now.
Yeah, qualifying is just started out indeed. Forgot my track map, by the way, which is why I've had to journey all the way to the other side of my room to try and find wherever it is. Now, where are we? It's Barcelona, Catalonia, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed.
I can't find that in my book, apparently. Oh no, Barcelona, Montmello. I'm guessing that's it. Barcelona, Montmello. Hang on, give me a second. This is why you prepare beforehand, guys, rather than try and go. Yeah, second to Barcelona and Catalonia. First one, of course, first Grand Prix held around here, of course, in 1991. I believe that was in the full wet as well. Michael Schumacher, if I'm not mistaken, won that day as well in, I think, his first race win in F1, dare I say it?
Now, well, I'm gonna stop you right there because 1991 showed, in fact, another very iconic moment, which was that beautiful side-by-side between Mansell and Senna into turn
yeah, Mansell
one.
and Senna.
And yeah, the Michael Schumacher win was in '96 in that Ferrari, and that was indeed in full wet conditions. It was, however, his first race win for the Ferrari team, and yeah, a very, very memorable day as they obviously set after these many, many World Championship days that were to come. And that is obviously really the start, the kickstart to that journey for the Ferrari team. But 1991, the first race indeed held around here. The layout hasn't even changed really that much. If you look at it, there's this straight between turns 9 and 10 that has been, let's say, well, there has been a interesting chicane in there in between, but now that is just made into a straight, which now makes up the second DRS straight, as Aurelia, in fact, your favorite Frenchman, is starting the first hot lap of this session. And in AlphaTauri for the Shazoo team, these two are certainly going to be looking very, very racy as yeah, a commanding lead in the championship, but they'll be looking to extend it for sure.
Yeah, definitely so. Aurelian, the current PSGL F2 championship leader as well, going into the final race of the season, coming through the right-hander of turn number 3, and then into the right-hander of turn number 4. Hamilton Rosberg 2016, famously onto the grass. 21.9 on the first sector from Aurelian as he now comes cascading down the hill in towards turn number 5 at Seat. And then through the turn number 6 kink, and then in towards the Europcar chicane. Yes, that is a chicane, and yes, it is sponsored by Europcar, coming through 7, then through turn 8, then through the right-hander now, turn number 9, which is very tricky. You normally take flat out, actually, on the previous versions of the game. However, not on this one, because you get beached on the curb and you set the car wide. 51.1 in the middle sector from Aurelian is not too bad at all. To give a little bit of context around this as well, in terms of TML, I got the fastest lap and qualifying pole position up just so everyone is clarified on that, but Aurelian now coming down the hill out of Bank Sabadell in towards 13, in towards the chicane of 14 and 15. This has looked absolutely picture perfect from the Frenchman. As the Shazoo man now comes through the final corner on the run to the line. I think a 16.4 was pole position, and it's a 16.6 already. So Aurelian there, 16.6, not looking too bad at all. Rydell's on the lap, Gustav on the lap as well, as Jerome there goes second, only 2 tenths behind, so not bad lap there at all from him. Xenox there going third, and he's only 7,000 down as Andrew now splits the pair, and it's currently a sister team 1-2, AlphaTauri and Red Bull out on top.
A very impressive set of bankers, I have to say. 16.6 from Aurelian currently sets the pace, of course. That's a bit close there with Stefano, who sets a 22.0, just moving past that AlphaTauri's just gone provisional pole position. But certainly a lot of improvements still yet to come, as I believe TML was a 16.3, the pole position there by NLR Justin, in fact it was, so little plug thrown in there. But yeah, let's have a look now. Zane goes 6th so far. And Rydell, in fact, yes, he does.
Mubarak, same time
to Mubarak, yeah. Just figured the same thing. Is now we've got Stefano 51.0. He is quicker than Aurelian right now. So this is certainly going to be quite close now heading into this final sector. The long right bend, very tricky. It really depends what gear you want to take. He stays in 4th. And now short shifts onto this corner exit. 4th gear through here. 3rd gear now into this chicane. It's very awkward for most of the drivers, but he does get it down fairly well. Now a good exit onto this final straight as Jeroen currently 5th and Stefano goes fastest by 3 1,000ths only to Aurelian. Super close stuff so far.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked that he's went pole position with that lap, because I thought he lost time coming to the chicane at 14 and 15. It just comes to show how much I know about Formula 1. As who you on about there?
It was Gabriel, in fact. The middle sector looked really good, but we must have had some kind of mistake there. It was a 15.9 middle sector, and then the last sector really dropped off for him. As his teammate Kart Racer, newly crowned F6 champion, I have to point that out, as his former teammate in that PSGL championship, is now starting his lap, also in that Williams car for NLR. But certainly some other drivers. Isaac Kush there has had a spin in the middle sector out of turn 9, so that must have been what you've been alluding to earlier on. That is a really awkward corner for these cars, and yeah, he's fallen foul of it, it looks like.
Yeah, definitely. So Zavel going 8th position as well for GSP, 16.8, not a bad lap there at all. Kart Racer just stand up on his lap as well. The other NLR man, 22-1 on the first sector, about 2/10 off Aurelian and Stefano through the first sector. Stefano the lad on top, Aurelian there in second. Formerly, of course, teammates with each other. Formerly, both PSGL F2 drivers as well. One current, one former, one now in PSGL F1, one now in PSGL F2. So I'm liking this already. Rodadel there in third, Mubarak and fourth. They're on the same lap time, just purely Rodadel set the time before him. That's why he's there in third as Kart Racer has a huge snap of oversteer coming out of turn number 9, mid-corner, and it's a 51-1 in the middle sector, so it's not too far off. He's going to go around probably Zabel, Zane rotation, that sort of area, around 8th, 9th and 10th with this lap, coming there through Bank Sabadell at turn number 12, and then down the hill, of course, going on the left-hand side in 2023, it has been reported in the ticketing at least, it has been reported that the chicane has been now moved in Spain for 2023. It's now Kart Racer now on the run to the line, and he goes third. He surprised me completely, third.
Yep, somehow he was actually on pace with Aurelio in that middle sector, which is very tight. But yeah, with that snap of oversteer, the first sector, perhaps he's just running a bit more downforce than the other drivers, because we've seen, perhaps it's also Gabriel running pretty low downforce. We've seen him earlier, had sort of 15.9 middle sector, but then, yeah, dropped off a lot in the last sector. For his sake, ideally, that would be a mistake, of course, but yeah, this certainly, since Spain, of course, has a lot of these medium speed corners, but then also these long straights. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of setups people will be opting for. So that is VIR Andrew, I think, now starting a lap in that Red Bull car. His teammate Skyline is currently on the lap. No, he's not. He's on his out lap. Just seen that. He's got a lot of cars in front of him, so it's already looking quite packed. Aurelien also starting a lap now, so these middle runs are now starting to flow in. And certainly these drivers will be looking to deliver slightly better times. It's looking so close.
Andrew in the first sector, 21.8 in the first sector. Purple out of everyone, 2/10 up in the first sector, not looking too bad at all. Jav, by the way, in the comment section, I'm not going to repeat that comment. If they're interested in that stuff, then fair play. Fair play. Andrew now comes through turn 7 and turn 8, then through the right-hander now turn number 9, and takes it actually pretty much flat out as he now comes in towards the left-hander of turn number 10. I think there was a moment maybe from somebody back in the pit lane, but Andrew, 50.8 in the middle sector, 3/10 up.
That looks really committed from Andrew so far, and yeah, for that VIR team it would be super important to pick up some more points after last week with Atesh there in third, but Marlon not delivering perhaps on what he would have wanted to. Final chicane slightly wide, the Skyline is out, so that is the qualifying ban, I suppose. Yeah, that's the qualifying ban that's been served there by VIR, but Andrew, that is a superb lap, 16.4, almost 2/10 clear anyone right now.
Aurelian though, Xenox replies and goes second. Aurelian is a 10.5 up and out of the middle sector. Coming out of Bank Sabadell now into the chicane at 14 and 15. That is more committed than last time around for sure. As Aurelian now comes through the final corner on the run to the line. I think he might go second with this lap. And he does. He goes second, 7,000th of a second, splitting the pair at this stage. Rodadel also on a lap. He's a 10.5 up, 21.8 in the first sector. And I think actually purple out of everyone in the first sector as well. So the Swedish man now coming through the middle sector, 50.8, 3/10 up. So Rodadel now looking to try and be consistent. Not as consistent as that exit coming out of turn number 10 that went so far wide on the apex. Pretty much degraded the speedway on the AstroTurf. And therefore he's going to make up all the ground now coming through the final corners at 13. He gets caught on the curb slightly through 14, then through 15, then in towards turn 16. He's going to go, I think, maybe third with this lap as Rodadel now on the run to the line. Goes third. He lost time through that middle sector. In the end, it actually goes full. 16.553 compared to Xenox on a 16.522. But not bad lap there, Rodadel. If he can iron out those last mistakes in the final couple of corners, I think he would have been pulled there.
Yeah, I think that last sector was really what cost him there. He seems to have just gone ever so slightly wide into almost any corner he was entering. That is now F10, I think, starting his next lap. But let's have a look now for a rotation with the 21.9 in the first sector. I think Gustav's heading out. I'm just scrolling through this right now. Mikulitsi has seemingly aborted his lap there in the final sector. And therefore, I think the only one who is on a representative lap might just be F10. Yeah, in that first sector, going pretty wide there through that turn 2. But let's see now, sector 1 split, a 21-22. It's a 22-1, so he's not had a good first sector. Just remembered, in fact, rotation. He's on a 51-0 now through this middle sector, so he's pretty solid. So he's slightly caught on the curb. And now actually stays in 4th gear again. The traction's a bit dodgy sometimes on the exit of that turn, but he manages to get it done pretty well. 3rd gear, probably going to short shift to 4th here in this middle part. He doesn't, to my surprise. And now through this last corner, obviously flat again and rotation due to how close this is. Slots into 9th. And it's about 4/10 shy of that fastest lap time so far. Let's have a look at 0. He's about 1.5 tenths down in the middle sector split. So not looking too great for the German driver so far. But in general, the GSP team need to up their game, I would say. He goes pretty wide there. Sausage curb he hits as well. Now, does he abort the lap? Yes, he does. And yeah, it was probably not worth continuing for the German.
Stefano's on a lap as well. He's coming through the middle sector. He's about a 10th up, coming out of the middle sector at turn number 10. As he now comes through, Banks Sabadell down in towards 14 and 15. And again, it's almost deceiving to the eye, but he looked pretty slow coming out the corner. These guys, of course, know what they're doing. As Stefano now on the run to the line, irons out of mistakes and goes 3rd, 16.5. So he found a bit of time in that final sector. Yvonne, by the way, went 6th as well. Kart Racer in 7th. Mubarak there going 7th. So close in qualifying early on. Gustav, however, 21.9 first sector. Now, this is the Gustav we normally see through the first sector. He is quick around this track. He's 3.5 tenths up on his first sector, just purely alone, and takes it to turn 9 completely flat. That was beautiful from Gustav coming out of turn number 9 on the run towards turn number 10. 51 flat. He's there or thereabouts with certainly Yaron, Mubarak, Kart Racer, those sort of people.
Yes, he is indeed, and I think now this could be where setup is coming in handy. Instead of saying AlphaTauri, they're slowing down to let Gustav go, but now it could be the more downforce potentially kicking in for that McLaren car. So let's see now where he gets that. And that was beautiful commitment there in that final chicane. Gustav crosses the line now and goes up to 9th.
How's that 9th?
Yeah, I mean, that's really, that just shows how close this grid is, because that lap is definitely good enough for top positions in other competitions, but now only P9. There's a Kart Racer's the next, but he hasn't validated, so NLR again slightly under pressure, and now that seems to be, there's another driver there entering the pit lane. I can't quite tell. That's a Ferrari, I believe.
Yep. Gabriel, by the way, the other NLR man, needing validated coming out of turn number 8. However, though, he's only 700ths down in the middle sector split, so he's actually not looking too bad. 17.2, I'm sure he can go a lot quicker than what he's actually showing out on track as well. Zane there as well, I think has just started up on a run coming out as the Haas has spun coming through turn number 9. I'm not sure if he's just getting out of the way. There might be Xenox, I think, who's actually out, as Gabriel has a huge moment coming through the final corner on the run to the line, and in the end goes himself up to 10th position, so not a bad lap there at all. Zane on a lap as well, he's 10.5 up out of the middle sector, but Andrew currently out on top. Aurelian there in 2nd, Stefano there in 3rd. Andrew, I think, is just starting on a run, I think. Yes, he is. He's just starting on a run. Zane now comes through the final couple of corners. The Shazoo Academy man through the final corners. Through turn 15. Gets caught on the curb. Pretty much Tony Hawk stars. He comes through the final corner on the run to the line. And Zane is not going to improve. He does actually improve a 10th.
Oh, just behind that. Yes, indeed. He comes in. That is a 16.3. That's over a 10th clear. And yeah, I think Andrew, contrary to what you said, it's actually just finished the lap. So he was just, I think, 300ths only down on his lap, but that obviously isn't enough to beat that lap time. And therefore now there's a slightly bigger gap than what you might expect there, over a 10th, separating Aurelian and Andrew there at the top. What I've seen about Gabriel's run was that he was very, very low on battery, so I'm expecting that to have been perhaps a second run, which is backed up by the fact that he's currently out of fuel. It does look like it anyway, because there is a yellow flag constantly where he is. And therefore, yeah, Gabriel, the Brazilian, out of fuel, is going to start a final hot lap very soon if he does make it into the pit lane eventually. But yeah, now it's going to be really, really interesting. As Zane, let's see if he is on a lap right now. No. I don't think he is. No, he's backed off, yeah. So everybody in the pit lane right now, and final runs. We're going to have everybody on that racetrack, and it's going to be super interesting.
Definitely so, and as I've already got a bit of a cough developing, which is not great. Aurelian, by the way, in the pit lane, that means I thought he was going to crash coming into the pit lane there. That means I don't think anybody is coming out of the pit lane. Actually, bar that, one driver is, and I think it's one of the NLR boys, or is it the Alpines? I don't know. There's an Alfa Romeo coming out of the pit lane, and I think that might be rotation coming out. Yeah, it is indeed rotation coming out of the pit lane, and both of them, in fact, are coming in, and the car that was, I thought, coming out of the pit lane wasn't. He was actually going into the pit lane, but Aurelian rallying out on top. Andrew there in second. Stefano there in third. Very, very good stuff indeed. But a rallying 116.3, 116.451 from Andrew, 116.515 from Stefano. It's so close. Actually up to 13th position, which is covered by about 5.5 tenths of a second. But the problem is now, Alex, the track has now been weathered in. The guys are now on fresh softs. And normally when you get to an end of a qualifying session here in Spain, you don't really see much improvement.
Yeah, oftentimes there is some drivers maybe slightly fumbling the laps or just cracking under that expectation of trying to go as quickly as possible. And I do expect some drivers to slightly crumble under that pressure. But as we saw last week, yeah, there weren't many improvements, of course. But I think there are still lots of drivers capable of better laps. And I'm looking actually at both of the NLR drivers here because while it is known that someone like Kart Racer isn't the strongest in qualifying, someone like Gabriel, though, he is usually very, very strong in qualifying, and I think he can probably shoot up the grid quite a lot more than where he is right now. But yeah, for now we're going to have a look at these laps starting. His rotation heading through the last corner is starting them all out now with his teammate Michelizzi following very, very shortly behind. 2 Alfa Romeos starting these final runs.
Yeah, and there's an Alpha Tauri as well coming out the pit lane. I think that might be Aurelian or Zane. One of the 2 Alpha Tauris coming out the pit lane in front. Really committed through turn number 1, through the right-hand return number 2, then through the left-hand return number 2, then through the right-hand return number 3. Getting confused already, as now we're coming towards turn number 4, taking a very deep line there. 21.9 in the first sector is actually not looking too bad. Through the first sector, only 1200s down, as he now comes down in toward the turn number 5, the left-hander down in towards this very deep braking zone. Tom, of course, famously spun and sneezed there in TML on Thursday night. If you missed that, rotation now through the left-hander of 7, through the right-hander turn number 8, and then through the right-hander again of turn number 9. Pretty much take this flat out, much more committed. Gets caught in the sausage curb, though. Will lose the speed coming out the corner, as he has got that AlphaTauri just in front of him, backing up on a lap. But a 51 flat is actually not bad from rotation in the middle sector. Normally looks a deceiving, but this is looking like a pretty good lap from rotation, as he now comes through the right-hander of turn number 12. Other drivers on a lap as well. Rallying just started one. Andrew, in fact, everyone's on a lap at this stage. We'll see the top guys in second, but rotation now coming to the final couple of corners through 15. Beautiful commitment. A bit slow on the exit of the corner, though, through 16. On the run to line. Should go ahead of Gustav, I think. And he does. He goes ahead of Kart Racer, in fact. Goes 8th position. But a very good lap from him. Michelizzi, I don't think actually got a lap in. Running's just started one. Andrew coming through the middle sector split. There was a very close, I think that was Mubarak potentially. Or Xenox actually going second. Andrew is a 10th.5 down in the middle sector and has made a mistake coming out of turn number 10. So I don't think he's improving.
Yeah, it looks like he's fumbled that lap a little bit. I've just gone aboard as well with Jerome, who hasn't validated this lap, so there's no more than 6th for him. Ryderdahl's had a strong first sector, but then also seems to have made a mistake. There's a lot of errors now happening. One of the fast ones coming now is Stefano's. We've got a Williams now crossing the line. That is Kart Racer getting up to P8. And now Andrew crossing the line. It doesn't look like he is improving. No, he's not.
Huge
Stefano,
middle sector. Sorry to cut you off.
15.8.
Sorry to cut you off, though. Yeah, I think we're on board with the same person. Stefano, 50.8 in the middle sector, but as fast as we've seen all night. He is absolutely on fire. The former Shazoo man trying to break the hearts of the Shazoo team. Where is this going to come from? Stefano now through the final corners, through 15, through 16, on the run to line. Can he break Shazoo hearts? On the run to line, is he going on pole? Yes, he does!
Wow.
By 6,000ths of a second. Aurelian, though, is responding. 400ths up in the middle sector, coming through the final corner. Now on the run to the line. It's going to be very close indeed. Aurelian doesn't snatch it. Stefano, in the end, breaks the hearts of the Shazoo boys. I don't care from voice cracking everywhere. Stefano, in the end, breaks the hearts of the Shazoo boys. The pole position was on. And who else? Who else but your former driver, Shazoo Stefano, or FBR Stefano, not even Shazoo Stefano. The former Shazoo man, FBR Stefano, takes pole position in an absolute humdinger of a qualifying session. Oh, Stefano out on top, in second, Xenox there in third, 7,000ths of a second, and it comes down to that. Absolutely incredible. Aurelian, though, fumbled, I think, in the final couple of corners just before we come on board with him, I think, through 13. So Xenox there is in third as well. Yeah. Andrew in fourth. Ryderdahl there in fifth. Look at how close it is. Gabriel in sixth. Jeroen in seventh. Mubarak in eighth. Kart Racer in ninth. Rotation top 10. Gustav and Zane are covered by 1,000th of a second. 11th and 12th. There's 1,200th of a second covering those guys. Zero 13. Izzard in 14. In the end, top 13 covered by 5/10. Izzard in 14. Pease 15. Chris in 16. Michelizzi 17. Skyline at the bottom of the field, of course, with that qualifying ban for VIR. Stefano line on top, Aurelian in second, and who else? Who else would break Shizou horse than their former driver?
That is throwing some slight controversy into this. As well, I'm already loaded into the race session. In fact, it is sunny, so apologies to spoil you a little bit here, but yeah, it looks like a dry start to the race, and yeah, as you said, the former Shizou man breaking the Shizou hearts right now. It is a FVR pole position here with Stefano, and yeah, Shizou Aurelian alongside him, and certainly underlining those strong intentions of Shizou to try and win this championship. And I mean, 3 rounds in, they have a big gap, but just 30 seconds to go until this race gets underway. And yeah, the strategy is definitely going to be very decisive here. So I'm going to quickly have a look at the race director to see if anything can be hinted at right now. I don't think so. It looks like the majority or even all of the drivers will be on the hards for the start of this race. Perhaps some drivers at the bottom might be going for mediums, but yeah, we shall see about that one. This is going to be interesting.
Joey in the comment section, which is why I'm laughing. Axie's got blood in his hands. Yeah, totally agree. And he's in a Ferrari as well. But the 5-row lights are now going out here in EML Premier 1. It's round number 4 in Spain. And it is lights and away we go. And Redding gets a very good start off the line. He might actually pull alongside Stefano on the run down in towards turn 1. A little bit of squirreling further down the field. There's 4 wide in the background in a bit of a box formation as Stefano leads the way in towards turn 1. Already in there in second. Everyone I think has managed to get through in the 4 wide situation and behind very cleanly indeed. There's a spin a little further down. Mikeliti Pease and Izzat all caught up in a collision to the Alpines for Relentless already down the field. But Stefano there leads the way into the end of the first sector. That's Mubarak driving it down the inside line. Iron in the background as well. He looks the inside line now for 5th and 6th position, and he's on the outside of Gabriel. There's a McLaren off in the gravel there. That's Radadal, the Swede, who is off in the gravel. Gustav there, the Dane, trying to get past on Kart Racer in the meantime for the NLR team. And NLR have actually made a really good start with Gabriel trying to get all the way around the outside of rotation. There's the yellow flag in sector 2. Pease is out of the race. That might cause a safety car, and it's a full VSC. Full VSC out on track. Stefano leads the way. Aurelian there in second. Xenox there in third. But Pease, I think, got caught on the outside curb and then just spun purely on the outside curb and then went off to the left-hand side. That is why we've got yellow flags. That's why we've got the first VSC of tonight. But Stefano leading the way off the line, Aurelian there in second, Xenox there in third. Early positions gains, Alex, looking quite favourable for the NLR boys. Have actually stayed as position. I thought they actually gained positions off the start, but that's Jeroen gaining 2, Rotation gaining 2, Chris and Scarline gaining 3. The majority have gained 1, apart from Radadal, who was off in the gravel. That is who got caught up in the collision. They've all dropped positions. Apart from that, pretty much all the same.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same for everyone up and down the field. Aside Stefano now, it gets back underway, and Aurelian against Xenox there. Xenox got a superb restart compared to Aurelian. Now gets up to second. There's 2 drivers now pitting there at the end of the field. But Stefano now leads from Xenox, so Aurelian got caught napping slightly by the Trust driver. And yeah, there's certainly a lot of changes. I think Gabriel overtook Jeroen in all that as well. So that means P5 and P9 now for the NLR team. And yeah, as you said, there weren't many changes initially going on, but now this virtual safety car has thrown a spanner in the work for some of those drivers. And certainly it isn't looking like dying down as so far. Everybody got through cleanly. Everybody is on the hards as well, by the way. That is an important thing to note as well. Apart from maybe the ones that do make their pit stops now due to damage or various collisions in that lap 1. Yeah, Aurelian losing that position to Xenox in that virtual safety car restart. And Xenox, I think, is looking really racy here against Stefano. Maybe not something you might expect. But yeah, that top 2 looking slightly different now. And let's see what kind of effect that has.
Radadal's run on the back of Chris, pretty much up the rear end of the Mercedes diffuser there, coming through the left-hander of turn number 10. Now through towards Bank Sabadell at turn number 12, but Stefano, yeah, leading the way. Xenox just caught Aurelian completely napping, was absolutely flooring it on the restart in the end of Aurelian. Unfortunately down in 3rd position, and so far Stefano weathering the storm at this stage as Henry there in 4th. Kart Racer right on the back of Rotation as well in this mix, and he's actually going to try and get past Rotation, maybe down in towards turn 1, but unsettling down. Everyone clean, everyone pretty much good. I think Izzat, by the way, had a front wing change. That's why we saw the yellow flag briefly, as Radadal has managed to get past Chris G, and now he's into 12th position. Is the Swede Mikeliti also into the pit lane? Think maybe for damage as well, so he is going to retire. He's going to return into the pit lane. Maybe, obviously, get that front wing change if it is a front wing change. Otherwise, I think it might be, yeah, it's just a front wing change there. And set of mediums going for Micheletti, so that means he's going to be at the back of the field. In the meantime, that was Stefano leads the way. Xenox there in second, already in there in third. And already the FER man looking to try and dominate, as FER did famously in Spain last season around here.
Oh yes, they did indeed, and Stefano is very much looking to replicate this performance, as now that DRS obviously being activated for the first time, Xenox is looking very hot up that Ferrari's heels, and I think, yeah, that's going to be definitely a challenge from the Trust driver going on, as right now, everybody, I think, down to 11th, down to Zane there in that AlphaTauri, the teammate, of course, of Aurelia, in the DRS stream, but Rydal isn't too far away from that. But still, I think would have to look out for an attack from Krishy, who has the DRS, unlike Rydal, who's the only real loser at this race start, I would say. Stefano, another fastest lap, leads the pack for now. But yeah, this DRS is going to come in very handy. However, Spain does not usually produce that many overtakes, or doesn't have that many overtaking opportunities in the first place. So track position, and therefore then the strategy is going to be really, really crucial as to how this race is going to play out. And certainly some teams are looking to deliver a little bit better than perhaps last week. We've obviously Relentless, yeah, compromised already with that one DNF from Relentless P's. Zero now sets the fastest lap there at the back with the 20.1 on mediums. But a lot of this is going to come down to either mistakes from the drivers or the race strategy itself. And yeah, this is probably the main deciding factor. Is Spanish Grand Prix, of course, never really known for its brilliant racing. But, yeah, even more genius on the strategic front.
Yeah, definitely so. And Modesto, by the way, was the one that took the win last time we came to Spain here in EML Season 2, believe it or not, which I don't think you were here for, if I'm not mistaken. Or were you? Season 2 Spain.
Season 2? When was Season 2?
Before you came in Season 3, I think.
Well, most likely that would have been before I even entered the community in the first place. That's how long that was ago. But,
yeah, it was Modesto. Modesto took the win. Hadler was second, and Efferolano, I know, was in the comment section. He took the third position around here in a very dramatic Spanish Grand Prix in TML Season 1, as I think we saw a move further down the field. I think that might have been Skyline passing Chris, if I'm not mistaken. So he's he's into 13, Chris there in 14. Gustav's right on the back wheels there of Kart Racer as well. The NLR man under pressure from the ET8 man. You normally say that we have a lack of overtaking around here. Go and watch TML F1 last week around here in Spain, because we had a lot of overtaking. Merged the two grids together. If you are a TML fan, by the way, I can report that the grid has been merged full time now. New driver lineups will be released in due course. New standings will be released in due course as well. And unfortunately, it means it would have been an F2 driver leading the championship, but it's not now because we've had to instruct half points on the guys from F2. And speaking of a spinner, we have lost Izzat. We haven't lost Izzat, but Izzat has spun coming to the right-hand return number 3. So easy to do. If he gets caught on that outside curb, he's probably spun the car. But Stefano now trying to instruct Xenox maybe to push on a little bit. He's now just nearly getting him outside of 7/10, 8/10 of a second with just slipstream range around here. And if he does that, he will control the race right from the outset. Xenox, though, has looked very quick down the straight. He's got 16% roughly of EOS left compared to a decreased differentiation between them both. So Xenox there on the back of Stefano, and even actually it's 20% the EOS advantage that Stefano has got over Xenox, and currently the Frenchman not wanting to play ball on the back of the Dutchman.
Yes, indeed, and yeah, this is all looking very tight still at the top, and I think the straight line speed there is playing into Xenox's favor, but just how long will the tires even make up for that? Because in the end, that last sector is really difficult. And when the tire wear does kick in a little bit more, that could be a factor to look out for with Xenox. One driver who I've seen struggling a little bit, maybe perhaps it is Gabriel in 5th so far, who is pretty close all the time to dropping out of that DRS window, which might just confirm the theory that he might be running a bit more down for setups. That is Gustav going very wide, or was it? Yeah, it was Gustav. Really wide there on that turn 9 exit curve. Hopefully, for his sake, of course, no warning. But yeah, that's also a thing you have to look out for. Not too many spots here in Spain where warnings can be awarded, but from own experience, it is still very possible to incur a time penalty here. And to avoid that would be very important. Rotation there goes a little bit wide through that first part of the chicane, which might invite Kart Racer into the party here, but
No.
yeah, he just can't make that work. He doesn't have enough straight line speed, does he?
No, and Kart Racer's not using any ERS either, so that's why the move is not going to happen. He's got 80% of ERS compared to rotation on 80%, but Kart Racer, if he did put the ERS on earlier, rotation certainly reacted a bit late in terms of his DRS, so I think Kart Racer possibly could have got him down in towards turn 1, so maybe he's just playing a little bit of an easy eyeball on the back of rotation, there in 8th and 9th position. Tato, by the way, was probably the best comment I think I've ever seen in EML Premier. I love Alex going ooh, ooh, and ah for the 2 laps, and then finally Mr. Head breathes for the first time. Yeah, there's no other commentator in the business that doesn't breathe on the first 2 laps of the race. I try and make it and try and take it in my stride. Put it that way. Mubarak, by the way, is right on the back of your own. Coming out of turn number 9, he is there, the Trust Racing man on the back of the Yaron team, I was going to say, of the FVR team of Yaron. There in 6th, former Relentless man, of course, and he is there doing a good job. But I think that split, as you were rightly pointing out, I think that split is either going to come from Gabriel or from Yaron. Both of them seem to be struggling, especially Yaron there. Especially Gabriel, who's there in 5th. He's gapping Yaron. Yaron is keeping up with him in DRS, and then everyone else in behind is just filtering back in. So Gabriel, if that is not the big split, it's going to come from behind. It's probably going to come from Yaron. It's going to be one of these two that splits the pack.
Yeah, most likely it'll be the top 5, top 6 kind of separation. But yeah, Gabriel is looking like one struggling particularly right here, as he doesn't also have that much ERS compared to the rest. We've got Andrew ahead on about 60, of course around 80% for Aurelien, 60% as well for Xenox, and then the race leader Stefano with over 70%. So really impressive. He's pretty much controlling this so far. But it is, yeah, it's just a lot of strategic plays going on. Is he actually slightly wide through turn 6? And Xenox closes in ever so slightly. He is very much putting that pressure on, is the former PSGL F7 driver. From experience, as I have raced him this season, and I think he left the league eventually, unfortunately. But yeah, still very much keeping up with the F1 driver, that is Stefano, which demonstrates as well that pace gap really is quite close between all those PSGL tiers. And yeah, a lot of different tiers, of course, on show today here in Spain. So I think, yeah, those drivers are really trying to make a name for themselves. Gabriel, 8.5 tenths. It is looking ever closer for that Williams. Can he keep it in there much longer? It is almost 9 tenths now, in fact. So yeah, that split most likely coming from Gabriel. It's like the top 4 who are probably the fastest up here right now. Currently is, in fact, very much hovering on that second, because perhaps Andrew would have seen that that gap is increasing, and would perhaps like a little bit of calmness from the back. As yeah, the Polish German, I believe it is, they're in 4th position, is still very much holding on to this top 3. And yeah, as maybe possibly looking for the strategy here to come into play. As in fact, it's a bit of a fun fact here, but I have been severely undercut by Andrew here already. So it is very much possible.
Oh, undercut is very potent around here as well. It was Jensen Tom, I think, last week in TML F1. And them two and Chris, I think, Chris had pitted, I think, 2 laps earlier than them. In the end, he undercut them both, and in the end, Chris ended up out the race, Tom ended up sneezing. That's why the contact was enforced. And of course, both of them ended up out the race in the end, which was a shame, because I would have loved to see how that battle would have progressed. But it just comes to show is that Stefano's just trying to break Xenox outside of a second here for the first time. It's got beyond 7/10 of a second, certainly at this point of the track for the first time. But yeah, it is a real rough and tumble track, this in Spain. One mistake, it will throw the car completely off centre, it will throw you completely off centre as well, and it will throw the guys as well maybe into the wall, maybe picking up something damage, maybe even ending up out the race, as we have seen so many times on previous F1 versions as well. Car Racer, by the way, is getting close to the back of rotation, and actually Gustav is looking very close to the back of Car Racer, looking a bit too close and towards turn number 1 on the back of Car Racer. Bit of a love tap there. He recovers the car, he's still within a second, but he's got Zane on the back of him, and if I was Gustav, I'd actually play it smart and actually get Zane to try and gain me back that time that I've just lost. In the end, though, I think Gustav is just going to stay within DRS, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, most likely it's going to be enough for Gustav to stay in there. We've seen his pace around. He actually does like to use his low gear or 2 there into turn 5. Just seen that in 2nd gear. It's not something you see very often from these very high tier drivers, of course, but yeah, Gustav right now, in fact, doesn't have the DRS because he has just passed that detection point. cut the curb maybe a bit too much, and that is not going to help his chances now, as Zane, I think, will be looking very racy now, but is very low on ERS. So it really depends on Gustav to catch that gap back up and get back into this top 9 train it would be if Gustav were to drop out. But yeah, the DRS super powerful around here, and still yet, even if the driver ahead doesn't have DRS, it's still not an easy overtake at all due to that braking zone. Gustav does not have DRS so far.
He doesn't have DRS and got Kart Racer pulling away from him in front of him. Luckily though, I think Gustav's speed is so inferior to everyone else, he's actually gaining on Kart Racer, even though Kart Racer was in DRS range of the car ahead whose rotation. So Gustav is very quick down the straight. The corners, though, really cost him, especially at a turn number 1 and 2 last time, where, of course, he made the contact with Kart Racer. In the end, though, Jeroen now on the back of Gabriel. We thought this was going to be the split in the pack. In the end, though, the split in the pack could come from rotation, of all people. Down in 8th position, he was on the back there of Mubarak, and is beginning to lose time. But you can see, actually, Mubarak's tyres, compared to Jeroen, certainly, those are a lot more worn. He's pushing a lot more compared to Jeroen and Gabriel ahead. They're already beginning to blister. And lap 11 out of 33, a third of the race through, you do not want your tyres to be blistering at this part of the race. Otherwise, they're not going to make it beyond halfway stage, which is lap 16, 17. And therefore, the medium compounder tyres, if he does want to go onto that, will be, as well, rough and tumble towards the end of the race. And they might not even make it to the end of the race as well, as Izzat has spun. Charlie's just came into the comment section. He tried to do the ultimate undercut around here in F3 as well. Waited 10 laps more than what his strategy should have said, but he still finished in 3rd position and ended up behind in F3 by just a couple of seconds. I think it was like a second and a half covering the top 3 in the end, giving Yellow Geeson's penalty. But Stefano leads the way. Zenox in 2nd, rallying there in 3rd lap, 12 out of 33. And Charlie, by the way, I'm not letting that one go.
I've just seen Xenox actually seemingly seems like he's been pushing quite a lot to be so close to Stefano, because that gap was under 2/10 heading into that first corner braking zone. And his teammate Mubarak now looking very racist. Jeroen has gone pretty wide. Super close there on that braking zone. That was tight from Mubarak. Of course, I think provisional PSGL F3 race winner in Abu Dhabi last time out. So he'll certainly be very confident into this Spanish Grand Prix. Perhaps there's even a reason for Trust to have picked him. But yeah, it's just not quite there. About 2.5 tenths behind, but can't make anything work. Still, there's a lot of ERS being saved up in this train to yeah, play out with the strategy. Because I believe a lot of these drivers will be either gunning for an undercut, which, as you said, is very potent around here, but also the overcut. Is that is Xenox lagging, in fact. I thought he was going really wide, but that was a big moment of lag there. But Aurelian's now very close to that Haas. And even still, I've just seen Xenox. No, wait, that is Aurelian. Apologies there. He's actually got 100% ERS. So yeah, he's looking very good.
He is looking really good. Skyline, by the way, I think we are going to see... Oh, no, we're not going to see him move. I thought we were going to see him move, but Skyline's turned his DRS off down the straight. So therefore, Rotterdam stays in 12th, Skyline there in 13th. This is the closest battle out on track between the ETA man and the VAR man. Of course, Skyline taking one for the team, taking that qualifying ban, of course, on behalf of... who was it last week who picked up the qualifying ban?
Atesh.
Atesh, yeah, it was Atesh.
Would have been Atesh or Marlon. Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, it was Atesh, I think, in qualifying, if I'm not mistaken, he picked up that qualifying ban for. But Skyline on the back of Ardadal, looking to try and make up positions. Position gains, by the way, so far in the race. Not many, really, to speak of in the top 10. 5 positions gained from this man on board in the Red Bull on the back of the McLaren. In the end, though, as you were mentioning there, Aurelian has got nearly 100%. In fact, I think he has got 100%. Well, 94% of EOS, but it's close to 100%. And in the end, these guys are now beginning to string themselves out. Stefano's got them on the stretch. He's using a bit more ERS now. Xenox as well has got 15% more. Stefano was 15% more than Xenox. So I can only assume Xenox is really beginning to actually, as Andrew's into the pit lane. So Andrew splits the bullet first, comes into the pit lane, and is he going to go for the move? Xenox on the race leader. Stefano's not close enough to the move. Kart Racer on the back of rotation as well, not looking quite close enough. But Andrew into the pit lane, set of mediums, 20 laps on a set of mediums. That is going to be one hell of a push. A Skyline does push and get the job done on Ryder Allen towards turn 1, gets through into 11th.
Yeah, I was in fact going to say that would have been a bit of an odd take, but I would have thought pit stops might well be starting around now. But Andrew, yeah, he's jumped the queue there a little bit. He has got into the pit lane, going for a very, very early undercut, now using most of his ERS, because he does also have 100% saved up. But that also leaves a bit of a gap there between third and fourth, I should say, with Aurelio and Gabriel. Now Jerome, though, is also quite a way back behind Gabriel. 20 laps is going to be a big stretch for the mediums, but they will make it. They will be pretty shot towards the end, I would say, but they will make it. But I think the drivers who are now very much having to look out are definitely the top three, but also the ones around. Gabriel was holding on to that VIR driver, but who is going to react so early on already? Will they pick Tire Life over the track position? Stefano does, Xenox doesn't, Aurelion doesn't. Yeah, that's a very, very tough decision. I think Andrew is going to pick the track position over all of that, as he has already used up a lot of his ERS, so he's looking for a super powerful undercut. As that is Ryder, the second one to react.
And Jeroen goes past Gabriel down the straight as well. Just in the background, a shot there round above the top three. So Jeroen is through and he's into fourth. Gabriel there through and he's down into fifth position. Chris, though, is now ahead of Ardal, as you mentioned, coming into the pit lane. So he's going to have an undercut, possibly on the back of the train, which could work out for him, because he was around Skyline, Zane, that sort of area, I think, in terms of the racing. So he could end up actually behind his teammate, which is not going to be too bad. And if that's a longer-term ploy, then the ET8 team, of course, will be coming into play as a result. But Stefano leads the way. Xenox in second, Aurelion there in third. I honestly think pit stops start from around lap 18, lap 19. 14 laps on a set of mediums is pretty doable around here. Yes, they will be worn, they'll be towards the 60% mark, but these guys have got to try and go lap upon lap on this sort of hard compounded size for now, and then pit in, as I say, around lap 18, lap 19. Could even go a little bit longer than that, but like we saw in F3 and F1 last week, if drivers do pit in early, they're going to be pretty much towards puncture territory towards the end of the race. So I think Andrew, yes, he might have track position, but I think that is a really bad call. Xenox a bit squirrely again. Big back snap of oversteer there from Xenox through the final corner. But Jeroen into the pit lane. Also rotation into the pit lane. So both of them are in. Cloud of dust mirroring there the Alfa Romeo down towards the pit lane entry. But Jeroen is into the pit lane. Xenox there on the back of Stefano, still not looking quite close enough. But Jeroen coming out of the pit lane. Now, where is Andrew? There is Andrew in the background, a shot coming through the final corner. And Jeroen is going to be behind by, I would say, about 2 seconds on re-entry onto the track.
Yeah, that's a bit close for a gap, I would say, but he is ahead of Jeroen. That would obviously not mean no DRS for the Ferrari. They now also have to warm those tyres up, which I would say would lead that gap to go to about 3 seconds-ish. Yeah. So definitely Andrew is definitely now on for this short-term gain, but later on it's going to hit him hard. However, seeing that gap to Jeroen, I think Andrew for now has got a very strong bid to take that race lead, actually, from Stefano. And Xenox there, as yeah, this is certainly going to be very difficult. That's the yellow flag. Izakush around again, losing his wing again. Hopefully that is no safety car there, but yeah, it's a very, very torrid evening here for Relentless. Which one of the top three will react? It is Stefano heading in. Xenox is in. Aurelion staying out. I think that is an undercut.
Yep, Aurelion stays out. Got to be an undercut ploy there from the Jazzy team. Stefano and Xenox, of course, now going into the pit lane. So now, where is Andrew? Andrew is coming through turn 12, 13. Coming through now the chicane at 14 and 15. Xenox is still yet to enter his pit then. There's another yellow flag out on track. I think that's just Isaac getting out of the way of everyone. He's been lapped by the field, but Xenox there. Coming out of the pit lane. Stefano also coming out of the pit. So it's going to be close. There's Andrew on the left-hand side of your track. Now on the right-hand side. He'll come over the brow of the hill. There he is. And in fact, Stefano is ahead. Andrew in behind is going to try and get the switchback. Maybe out of turn number 3 here. And if he does, he's on much warmer tyres and he's got to go for the move. But I think he's playing it tactically. He wants to try and gain. But actually, no. He goes for the switchback coming out of 3. And Stefano's going to have to defend this if he wants to. Andrew to the inside line at turn number 4. Mirrors apart. Gets the job done. So Andrew now ahead of Stefano. Stefano, though, not giving this up without a fight. He absolutely bellies him down the inside line of turn number 5. And in the end, that doesn't work out for the FBO man. And Andrew is ahead indeed. And I think, honestly, if I was Stefano in that point, maybe go for the move, but maybe keep your wits about you. And that's what he should have done.
Yeah, I think so as well, because that might well have just profited, would have benefited Aurelion perhaps, who obviously wouldn't have seen this coming, but he's now heading into the pit lane as well, having all that ERS. Gabriel is following him in, Mubarak is following him. Obviously that means Kart Racer is carrying on, and we'll have some very fresh tyres later on, and so will Zane, in fact. Yeah, Zane is also carrying on. Now let's see where Aurelion comes out in comparison to all this. Obviously Andrew has taken the provisional race lead.
Is that
out? Oh, that could be important if that's a safety car.
Oh, I don't know. Aurelion's coming on the exit
late.
of the pit lane. I think it's too late. Aurelion is side by side, I think, with Andrew coming out the pit lane here, though. And he might just be ahead. It might be very similar to what Stefano had. And he is in the lead. Aurelion has undercut everyone. So the overcut actually is more potent than the undercut. But here's Andrew, though. Switch back into turn number 3 again. This will be perfect. We can get this job done. And actually, Stefano makes contact with him on the back. And Xenox now, all of a sudden, coming in with a 3-wide move, nearly in towards turn number 4. And in the end, Stefano goes all the way around the outside of Andrew, nearly forced him to the grass. Now for the inside of turn number 5. Doesn't want to give this up. He already lost 1 position to him. Now he's going to get revenge. And he does get revenge. Beautiful stuff by Stefano. Great racing. And that, the former PSGL F2 leader of the championship, is through and he's into fourth. Now ahead of Andrew. Xenox 7-6, try to get the switchback. And in the end, look who this has benefited, Alex. You've owned in this as well.
Yes, indeed, Jeroen is right in this train now. Xenox going for this there on Andrew, but can't make it work. Now Andrew goes super wide though. Let's have a look now. Xenox, Andrew, is he already been tired? I can't imagine it, but now Xenox to the outside. The space is left for the Haas. It's very, very close stuff. But that means, look at Andrew. His entire advantage there that he's got for the undercut, in fact, is almost gone.
It has almost gone on your own right on the back of Xenox. Xenox, I think, is going to have no 2 questions about this. He's going to try and go for the move down and towards turn 1. In the end, though, Zane, Kart Racer coming out the pit lane on the right-hand side of the track. Already in those leads. Stefano second, Andrew there in third, Xenox there in fourth. Mubarak is side by side nearly with Gabriel. How's Gabriel sixth? And he's in the DRS train as well. This has really, really opened up the field quite a lot. Rotation in the end is becoming the real snap in terms of the train at the stages. Mubarak tries to look to the outside line on Gabriel. That would have been impossible. Sets the purple first sector though. Gets a switch back out of 4. Now for the outside of turn number 5. This will be trying to get the job done. In the end, though, very aggressive again. TOS need to learn how to go for the moves. In the end, though, he's going to go all the way around the outside of turn 6. Now through 7. And in the end, Gabriel backs off and doesn't want to be let into full sense like the TOS team have done in the past. Mubarak 30's into 6th. And in the end, Alex, that contact probably wasn't needed. Xenox now on the back. The other TOS man on the back of Andrew. He stays as it is. But Mubarak 30's into 6th. And in the end, it was a very clean move. But was the contact really needed?
I don't think so. He was to the outside there. It would have been a very, very good move. In fact, in general, he pulled that off all the way around the outside, but it was certainly very, very much on edge towards even questioning the edge of the galaxy there. But I think Andrew might be suffering from this now. This undercut already seemingly hurting him as Xenox now. Look at how close he is. Xenox has to make this move now as Mubarak now sets the fastest lap despite making the overtake. And his teammate Xenox now moving up into a podium position and is very much in this DRS train. So very, very strong from him so far. And I think those fresh tyres might not come even into that much effect for those drivers that stayed out long. The only one which has really, really benefited, of course, is Aurelion, who's now in that race lead and even holds an ERS advantage at the moment over Stefano.
Yeah, Waste saying in the comment section as well, could be an obvious penalty for Stefano. It could be. He dived it down the inside line where there wasn't really a gap. There might be obviously a bit of contact. They had a trading and blows the lap after as well. And therefore Stefano now ahead of Andrew. But remember, it can still all play it out on track. There's 14 laps of this race left, so there's ample amount of time. If Andrew has got the pace, and if these guys, of course, shot their bolt and they go too aggressive on those mediums, Andrew could yet come into play towards the end of the race. It's doubtful. It is quite doubtful, I think, but Andrew could still get ahead of Stefano, and therefore the stewards wouldn't have to apply a penalty if that is the case. There's still plenty in this race, still to go. Focus on the road ahead rather than on the penalties after the race. That is my motto, I think, for tonight. And Stefano makes a huge mistake coming out of the final corner, and now Xenox is right there with him. But I don't think he's going to be enticed for the move. Yeah, he's going to be nowhere near for the move. And Stefano just about got away with that one. And in the end, catching very quickly on the back of Aurelion towards turn number 1.
Yes, indeed. That's the effect of DRS there, really, is he's realized that mistake early on, opened that ERS button and opened that up so that he could pull away ever so slightly. Just got onto the turn 3 apex curb there, which is is not very comfortable from my experience, but got away with it. And as you can see, very, very close to the back of that AlphaTauri is Larissa Mubarak. Very tight line. Yeah, I've seen the same thing. Mubarak taking some very tight lines here. I think this might be some, apologies for saying, this might be some controller gains going on here. Because now Jeroen makes a slight mistake, in fact, as well. Mubarak is very much on the back of that Ferrari, and he is looking to challenge. That would be a double top 5. Look at this. Mubarak very close to the back. Jeroen defends to the inside, all the way around the outside. No, he can't pull it off. And yeah, Mubarak stays in 6th for now, but that gap is getting bigger between Andrew and Jeroen. And I think that would be an upset to FBR.
Honestly, Mubarak is driving outside of his skin, but he needs to try and calm down, I think, to try... Just wait his turn. He's up at the rear diffuser of the Ferrari, quite literally on that camera angle. But Mubarak, he just needs to wait his turn. Be patient, my friend. Be patient. Your time will come. The move will come as well. And Jeroen is there on 2-lap older tyres. Now, I normally speak 2-lap older tyres as thinking of it this way. It's about 8% difference over 2 laps around here. It's 4% on average in terms of tyre wear. And that is just for a driver that is on tyre management, on a tyre management strategies. Gabriel goes very wide there, coming out of turn number 3. Mubarak, though, is on a bit of tyre management, but he also needs to save up his ERS as well. And this is a trick that I saw, certainly with Xenox, in the first half of that race. Put Stefano under pressure. Stefano, in the end, had 15% less than Xenox. In the end, he had 15% more towards the end of the stint. Or Stefano had 15% more before Xenox did. And Xenox there... It is the trail braking, and it's also, as well, the lifting and coasting into corners. And if they do that, as Gustav makes a huge mistake on the curb there at turn number 9 on the exit. But Mubarak just needs to, I think, save a bit of ERS, and he might just do that because Jeroen again runs wide coming out of turn number 10, and the FBR team definitely under pressure. 1 from the TRS team in 3rd, and Morn from the TRS team in 6th, as Mubarak is definitely looking close on this time around on Jeroen.
Yes, he is, and I think one factor that maybe didn't quite see that is also involving the controller, because the tyre wear seemed to traditionally be slightly higher on the controller than on the wheel, though that's nothing has been really confirmed. It's been like that in the past iterations of this game, but I think it will still come into effect here, so Mubarak really has to look out. Even if he does have the fresher tyres, he needs to keep that push on the control. And if he manages to do that while keeping his battery in shape compared to Jeroen, at least for now, he is doing that. But it is still looking very, very tight there. Ooh. So he's taking very tight lines. That is a very, very... That's a medium you can do. But yeah, I'm not too sure how much time that really gains.
That's my line that I take through there. He's literally been watching, I think, old races of me, potentially around here in Spain. And he's thought, what will James will do? What can I impress James with? And that is taking the tight line. It does gain you ground down towards turn number 5, but it also loses you ground in the following corner. So that's why it's not that popular. However, though, I did pull off a move down the inside of turn number 5, turn number 4, down towards the outside of turn number 5 ones, while doing that line as well. So it's not impossible, but Mubarak, I think, just needs to hold on the back of Jeroen. But he has listened to me in terms of his ERS. He's 33% now in terms of ERS. He's got to try and use that uphill down the straight. Jeroen, though, gets a really good exit coming out the final corner, and Jeroen gets Mubarak on the back foot once again, and in the end, they stay as they are. But Aurelia now, for the first time, just dipping out outside of 0.8 per second, now back down to 6.5 in towards turn number 1. But Aurelian there clearly has got more pace down the straight. In the end, though, Stefano there in 2nd, Xenox in 3rd. Stefano needs to try and close in. Maybe use up his tyres a little bit more. Let Aurelian back in as well. And then Xenox can be there maybe to capitalise on them both.
I think one thing we might have to point out is only 10 laps to go in this race. It's actually flown by really quickly, and no safety cars either to intervene. So this is all going to play out on the racetrack. And right now, 11 drivers in the lead DRS train. Then we've got the first bigger gap to Zane in 12th, who maybe would have expected a bit more from himself, with Breiderdal also down in 13th. I think he'll be a bit disappointed, but nobody apart from, of course, the Relentless team would have been as disappointed as GSP right now. 14th, 15th, but yeah, everybody here at the top is so close. But arguably one of the worst positions to be in right now is Andrew, and those 10-lap old tyres already. How will those look towards the end?
they will look pretty shot towards the end of the race. They're going to be on, what, 18, 19 laps towards the end of the race? Andrew, he's got to be careful that he doesn't get into puncture territory, and if he doesn't, then he should be alright. But now he's outside of DRS range nearly. Jeroen is on the back of him. He's not close enough, though, down in towards turn number 1. But Aurelian currently on the lead. He's got 73% of ERS down in towards turn number 1 as well. Stefano's on 40%. Xenox on 29%. Aurelian is mastering the strategy call so far. I'm sure Frankie has got something to do with this in the comment section, because I can see him on about the strategy call for the Shazoo team. But Aurelian leading the way, currently out on top. Stefano there in second, Xenox there in third. And this strategy call so far from Aurelian to go for the undercut. It worked out with Stefano and Andrew trading blows. Aurelian was there, taking the position. Now he's in P1. And he looks, I've got to say, pretty comfortable so far out in front. But he's got the former Shazoo man in behind, and he do not want to have a former Shazoo man on the back view, because what will happen? There'll probably be contact, there'll probably be trading blows, and both of them might end up giving this race to Xenox and Andrew if they are not careful. But these guys are respectful, and I know they will do that.
Yeah, there's definitely overall no mercy obviously going on between different teams, but yeah, the respect has to be kept high between all of these drivers, and I would trust Stefano in that as well. Of course, he is not in PSGL F1 for no reason, and yeah, certainly looking to deliver like Aurelian currently in that lead, but he is looking really assured so far. He's got the freshest tyres, is leading this race, arguably in the best position on paper, but yeah, he still has to hold that to the end of the race. There's one driver struggling here, as I already pointed out, it is Andrew. He is now out of DRS range at the moment. His ERS is drained pretty much to, well, to 0% almost, just 5 or 4% or so left. And that gap is very high, and I think towards this final sector he might well be losing out on this DRS eventually. I think it looks like a bit more cornering speed there for the Red Bull man. But even still, the tyre wear, I would say, would come into effect here sooner rather than later. And that might just, it could invite someone like Jeroen or Mubarak to make some moves. Then Mubarak is about 40%, Jeroen is safe of about 20-ish, 25%. So, yeah, the ERS, it's not really as powerful as you might think, because you can see there's so little position changes in that train. It is mainly the track position that decides it here, just like in real life, really. As I think only the top two really have majorly swapped positions. Let's quickly get the detail there to the position change. That is a spin there at the back. A GSP driver, I think that is Krishy.
Yep.
It is Krishy, yeah. So, yeah, there's just not many changes going on at all. It's all depending on strategy or drivers. Yeah, Xenox, as you see there, really close to the back of Stefano, but I think the Ferrari man has it covered. Unless Xenox does not go for that. It would be it's just not a move to make into this turns 1 and 2 combination. It's not a good corner really at the end of a straight. So yeah, just no real moves happening at the moment.
But if I was Xenox, I'd want to push these guys along, because Andrew's nearly outside of a second. He has got he's got much more worn tyres than me if I was in Xenox's shoes. And they're beginning to get stronger than behind, so if I was Xenox, I'd push these guys along, maybe force a bit of ERS, and that's exactly what he's doing. He used a bit of ERS there on the exit of turn number 5. Now through 6, 7 and 8, he again is on the back. He looks really close coming out the final corner and down and towards turn number 1. Apart from that, he just needs to try and push these guys along. Andrew there a little bit wide on the background, doesn't lose much time, but Xenox there in third has got to push these guys along. If I was in the TRS team, I would go literally vamos, try and get him to try and push on Stefano into Aurelian. Both of them then come into blows, and then Xenox there on the back and try and take the race win from that. I think that is what the game plan is for the TRS boys. Game plan is easy for the Shazoo boys, trying to defend with very much more ERS than him, and he's pretty much got double the amount of ERS Aurelian compared to Stefano at this stage, which is just testament to how good he is in a straight line and how good he is generally out on track. And he's doing a fantastic job. And Aurelian, this man, by the way, if I didn't say it already, he's leading the championship in PSGL F2, tied with Namsco, of course. The title decider is, of course, on Monday night, as Xenox has a huge moment coming out of turn number 3 and loses all that time that he's just gained.
Yeah, very wide for the Haas driver. Just keeps it in the range, and that does not help him. Definitely. Even Andrew now, 4/10 down only. And one driver who's dropped out almost is Jeroen. Was that maybe a mistake there from the Ferrari man? It was looking a bit tighter for sure, and yeah, it must have been a mistake for Jeroen. As yeah, certainly those top 3, top 4 maybe now, even with Andrew joining due to that mistake from Xenox. they are probably the closest fight to look on, as in the midfield there's nothing really going on. The gaps are either pretty big, or everybody's got enough ERS to defend from one another. Skyline probably the biggest gainer in all of that, but even still only finds himself in 11th, so that just shows what the circuit Barcelona Catalunya really is. It's just barely any overtaking going on, and he can be happy, I think, to make up those 7th places, go up to 11th and just scrape that top 10. And in fact, only one driver with time penalties, and I think he's got 2 of them. Yes, he does. Krishy there, 6 seconds of penalties, and that is it over the entire field. So everything's decided on track as of now. And while I don't know what the warning situation is looking like, I would say this might just end without even barely any penalties. So yeah, this will all be decided on track, and the DRS is not making things easy at all. And yeah, the Spanish Grand Prix is showing why it's not very popular among the drivers overall.
I've got everyone confused, by the way, in the comment section, so I'll tell you my thinking about what I said about Xenox. It was about Xenox there in 3rd. Vamos, vamos is obviously Spanish. We were in Spain, so that's why I said it. Otherwise, it'll be underlay, viva, viva.
Would have been, actually.
It would have been, yeah. Anyway, I'm now probably confused.
Exactly.
I've probably confused people now more than what I've just done. But Aurelian leads the way, Stefano there in 2nd, Xenox there in 3rd, but Barak is on the back of Jeroen once again, and he's trying to actually gap Gabriel. He's outside of a second out of the NLR man, so he's going to try and stick in there if he can. But the NLR man has done well. He's done actually really well to stay with them for even this long in the race, but he's just inside of a second, I think, to get the DRS. Yep. He is indeed within the DRS. Stefano though on the back of Aurelian, and he's going to go for the move for the race lead. Here comes Stefano on the back of Aurelian to the inside line, dummies him to the inside line. Now the attack is on. The Ferrari and the AlphaTauri side by side through turn 1, through turn 2, and now Stefano up the inside line at turn number 3. The former teammates now going side by side. Stefano and Aurelian now coming in towards turn 4. Bit of wheel banging. Hamilton Rosberg X coming out of turn number 3, but Stefano now through turn number 4, side by side again. Wing mirrors apart, and Stefano's just barely ahead. Aurelian to the inside line, trying to get the job done. Bit of wheel to wheel contact again. Stefano's still got the better exit. Aurelian now for the inside line, fights back and gets the race lead once again. Great stuff. No love lost between these two former teammates. Aurelian leads the way. Stefano in 2nd. Stefano, though, I think is going to try and come back at him. Maybe down in towards turn number 10. Look at the speed that he is gaining. He's not going to go for the inside line. In the end, Aurelian, all comers so far, all beaten. Stefano had to try something, but in the end, at what cost? Aurelian's got 43%. Stefano's got 10%. Aurelian can just defend for this. Every single attack that comes from him, he can defend, and he can defend easily.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought as well. It was very ambitious there to go for that from Stefano, but now he's put himself slightly on the back foot. If he had got that move done, yes, he's coming again, but that battery is looking almost very drained. And
he's catching. He's catching.
He's not even using, but oh yeah, now he's out of ERS and he's barely making any gains. Yeah, Aurelian's now got this covered, it seems, for these final 3 laps. And yeah, this would be the deciding factor, the ERS and the DRS now down into these final few laps. But Aurelian with about 30% now compared to Stefano's under 10%. This might just be the deciding factor. And could it throw Xenox into play as well? I was on board with him while that fight was going on to see if he could maybe capitalize from anything there. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be for the Heartman for that Trust Esports team. And even still, yeah, those top 2 giving us a bit of a show now towards the end of this Grand Prix. But it looks like Aurelian might just have this covered, as Andrew, again, is slightly, it's pretty close now. It's dropping out of this DRS. And Mubarak, another one very, very close up the heels of Jeroen. So this is nothing over, really, for either of the FVR men, in fact.
Definitely not Stefano there. Still 10% ERS. He has got to try his utmost at some point on the track to lift and coast, gain a bit of extra ERS, and then try and attack. He's on exactly the same amount of ERS as he was last time around. Aurelian, though, slightly wider on the curve this time. There's a yellow flag. That's the McLaren Rider, I think that's spun. Coming through turn number 12, but Aurelian leads the way with 5/10 of a second, and he's going to hold the lead definitely in towards turn number 1. Stefano much further back than last time around, and Xenox there in 3rd is staying with these guys, so Xenox might be the one that might cause the big shock here in Spain, going on to the final 2 laps of the race. race. The former teammates, no love lost between these guys. Shazoo against FBR, two of the best teams on the PS platform, about to go at it. TRS also involved in this as well. We are in third position, the French team, but Aurelian leads the way. Stefano there in second, Xenox in third, building up to a thrilling final 5.5 kilometres. Final 1.5 laps of this race, and Aurelian leads. Stefano there in second, Xenox in third. One of these three is going to win the Spanish Grand Prix.
Yes, indeed, and Andrew is now out of that fight, so it is indeed just the top three in that DRS. And Aurelian, while he looks like he's got the best position on paper, Stefano, do not count out this man at all. These former teammates, of course, going at it again in this final lap of the race. Wow, this is looking really on edge now for the Ferrari, isn't it? But he's very close to the back of that AlphaTauri. He's glued there. Zero picks up the fastest lap, but it's now super close, isn't it? Just over 10%. This might not be enough for Stefano, but you never know. This is going to be tight. But yeah, Aurelian saved up so much battery. Let's see now, down into this turn one. Is there anything Stefano can make work? But no, he's almost going to run out of ERS. I think Aurelian's got this covered.
I think it's decided. What isn't decided though was Gustav in rotation, the side by side down the straight, and Gustav through finally, and he's into 8th position. He's been trying that move for so long. Now he gets his reward on the final lap of the race. He's through and he's into 8th. Rotation there in 9th. Car Racer as well, trying to get in the plumb 10th position in the points so far. In EML Premier 1, of course, positions will go down to 16 in terms of points. Mubarak to the inside on your own, just coming on board with that. I think that's what you were going at there. But Mubarak there in 6th, trying to look to the inside on. In the end, didn't work, and in the end, I don't think he's going to get that 6th position because Jerome, the 5th position, because his tyres are going off and he's got a bit of dirt on those tyres as well. But Aurelian has absolutely mastered this strategy. What he hasn't mastered though was his fuel. His fuel light is blinking. Stefano is just blinking now, coming through turn number 9, and Stefano had a bit of a moment there. Xenox as well, slightly wide, but Aurelian I think has got this one covered. Coming through the final couple of corners, as long as he doesn't run out of fuel. He was running a lot lower in terms of fuel compared to Stefano. Stefano's fuel light only came on through turn number 9, and Aurelian coming now through the final couple of corners. This Shazoo man has mastered the strategy call here. This is surely it from Aurelian through the final corner on the run to the line. If he doesn't run out of fuel, he's going to win through the final corner on the run to the line. Aurelian takes the win in Spain. Stefano there in second, crashes in the wall. There's nothing he could have done about it in the end. Xenox there in third, Andrew there in fourth. Jeroen somehow holds on to fifth from Mubarak, from a fast finishing Mubarak there in sixth. Gabriel there in seventh, Gustav in eighth, Kart Racer ninth. Rotation down the top 10 will cover the rest of the field a little bit later on, but Aurelian takes the win. Stefano there in second, Xenox there in third. We thought Shazoo could have been beaten tonight at FER's home track. In the end, Shazoo come out on top once again, and Stefano, the former teammates, nearly colliding at various points of the circuit in that final 4 laps, but Aurelian takes the win, and in the end, his EOS management was the key that unlocked the door to the win here in Spain.
Yes, indeed, it was the ERS. He's got all of that battery to defend in that final in that final stretch, really, those final 3-4 laps, as Stefano was really trying to go for that overtake, but just couldn't make it work there on Aurelian. And yeah, in the end, the blinding strategy, along with this brilliant ERS management from Aurelian, that's what allowed them to pick up this victory. Stefano in second. Best race he probably could have done in that situation, but just fell short of his former teammate with Xenox rounding out the podium.
Michelici, I'm not sure what he's done coming across the line, but his AI has just completely beached itself on the grass now behind the crashed Stefano. Mubarak takes drive of the day, awarded by the in-game fans. But yeah, fantastic stuff from Aurelian to take the race when the Frenchman did an absolute awesome job. I hope we're going to get an interview from him. I know it's quite late over there in France. I think it's like 10:30 now over there in France, or 10:15 even in France. But Aurelian did an absolute stunning job. If there was anybody that deserved that, it's that man there, because he takes the top step of the podium. The PSGL F2 current tied for the championship leader is, of course, Aurelian, and he takes the race win. And Philip there in the comment section also saying, Spades I should say, saying in the comment section about Andrew's tyres, Andrew's pace with those tyres. We forget he came in a lot sooner than these guys who finished ahead of him, and he somehow still finished 4th with those tyres, and he kept it in the DRS, so well done to him. Fair play to the VIR team.
Yes, indeed. I think Andrew's performance really impressive above many of these drivers today, as only 1 time penalty was handed out, or 2 actually, but to 1 driver, which is quite the accolade, I would say, for Krishy there. Unfortunate for the GSP team in general. But yeah, as you can see there, Aurelien winning this Spanish Grand Prix for the Shizou team. 3 out of 4 in these first 4 races. Very impressive stuff. Stefano in second, Xenox is third for the Trust Esports team. Barring any reports, of course, there might be some, but I don't really know what teams will be opting for that strategy. Andrew 4th, Jerome in 5th, and Trust Mubarak 3rd and 6th for the Trust team. Definitely seemingly recovering a little bit from what was a very, very chaotic race last week with Gabriel, Gustav, kart racer, who actually did overtake a rotation in the final sector of that race, finishing in 9th, 10th for rotation. Skyline from last to 11th, which I would say was probably a solid drive, made everything work they possibly could have. With Zane for the other Shizou car was started 12th, finished 12th, probably could have had a little bit more off that, but yeah, the strategy and the nature of the Spanish Grand Prix really not coming in handy. Ryderdal 13th, a bit of a weak performance compared to what he usually had, but that first lap really didn't help his course there. Christian 0, 14th, 15th for GSP. Michalizzi rounding out this grid, and then both relentless drivers out like last week. So very unfortunate race for these two. Yeah, that brings the Spanish Grand Prix to an end. And well, there was a solid bit of track action going on, I would say, but overall, it wasn't one of the proper spectacles we had earlier on in this season, as we kind of predicted overall, because it is the Spanish Grand Prix after all. You don't expect much action around here. And yeah, while it was one of the, well, more DRS-dominated races, we're certainly looking for something better in the races to come. So, still, great performance. Shizou on top again. Who can beat them, really, in this season?
Who can beat them this season? If FVR can't, then I don't think anybody can, to be honest. At their home track in the end, FVR coming second, but Aurelien takes the win. And speaking of the man, we are going to invite him into the party. So give me a second. I'm just going to go blue screen for a second. Let's get in Mr. Aurelien. You're going to hear the most sounding Frenchman I think you will ever hear, potentially. My favourite Frenchman as well, which is why I call him it, because he is an absolute gentleman of his craft, and he was absolutely brilliant, as I say there, with the racing out on track. We are going to get him in. And Steph is also won an invite as well, so we're going to get double the amount. So it could be quite frosty when we come into the comment section, potentially, between them both in the end with that contact and that great battle, of course, down in towards turns 3, 4 and 5 on, I think it was the 4th last lap of the race. I'll just get Stefano in as well, but both of them should be able to join the PS party. It's not on Discord. These guys are probably used to Discord interviews, but of course they're in the PS party. But we can speak, of course, to the man in the end who finished in P1. It's getting a pretty common sight, this, whenever I commentate on you, Aurelien. You take the race when here in Spain. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was a very interesting race. Yeah, the quali, it was a good lap, but I think I had a bit of time in the last chicane, but that's not very important. Yeah, in the after the virtual safety car, Xenox did mega restart. She passed me. Honestly, I had like plus 0.2 seconds, so if I go quicker, I will take a pen. So yeah, I don't really know how he did that, but it was really well done. Then lap 16, it was opposite. So if Steph and Xenox had box, I would have yeah. So I stay out. I had like I had 100% ERS, so I burnt everything, and fortunately for me, they had some battling, so it was easier for me to come back in the front. And then Steph did a nice attack 4 or 5 laps before the end, and honestly I was quite surprised. In my opinion, he would have attacked 2 laps before the end, but it was very surprising and very well done to him. And yeah, it was a nice battle, so GG Steph.
Yeah, it was a fantastic battle. It certainly caught us by surprise in the commentary box, let me tell you that as well. Because 4 laps from the end, the last thing I expect is a Ferrari diving it down the inside line and then absolutely dumbing it to absolute perfection. But it was honestly a really good battle, and it just comes to show you guys are really good at your racecraft. You know what you guys are doing as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And coming on to that battle as well, of course, Steph has now joined FER, so battling with your former teammate wasn't half that bad given the show that you put on.
It was my former teammate in Shazoo a little bit, and Evia is my former team also. So yeah, it was really interesting to fight with Steph and Evia member. I tried to keep it clean. And I think it was a hard battle, but I think it was clean.
Yeah, it was definitely clean. Certainly, there was a bit of wheel banging, but I think we can let it go because honestly, it was an absolute show that you guys put on. It was brilliant to watch, obviously. Alex, coming across to you, any questions?
Yep. First of all, of course, congratulations, both of you. 1 and 2 was such an entertaining race from you two, and Aurelien, of course, 100% ERS towards that middle part. I was looking at that and I was seriously impressed as that kind of racecraft that you were putting on, and while keeping that battery in shape, I thought that was really impressive. How was it a comfortable one for you overall, or was it maybe more on the strategy that you were looking out? As of course you have pointed out the battles that were going on with Steph, and I think it was Xenox there in the mid-pack, as well as Andrew getting involved as well. So was that really the proper plan? As you said box opposite to these guys. So that must have been the plan really, but what was going on in the back of your head, I would say, after the stop from Andrew, first of all?
You asked me too much questions.
Right. Yeah.
So,
no problem. Yeah. It was more or less lap 14. I think it was Andrew who pitted, and then lap 16 or 17, as you said, it was the other ones in that top 3-5 pitting. So what was going on in your head maybe between those 2 laps? Could you maybe elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, lap 14, when I saw Andrew pit, in my mind it was and also with Franchi who made the engineer for me. It was very early, so for us it was lap 16, and the opposite if Xenox and Steph pit or not. And yeah, when I saw them pit, like I had 100% battery, I just burnt everything, and fortunately they had some battle behind. So, but I finished. I didn't check my my tire wear, but I just remember that 3 or 4 laps before the end, I had like 40% battery, but yeah, it wasn't comfortable at all. Yeah, it was really really exciting with Steph.
All right, yep, thank you. That's some great insight there, and congratulations, of course, as well. That's a brilliant victory, and Shazua are looking really good in this championship now.
Yeah, looking really dominant indeed, and hopefully this is not the last time we're going to be speaking to Aurelian as well. Certainly in EML Premier, but more importantly in PSGL, which I'm sure is going to be the main focus of your attentions over the next 5 days. But all I have to say is go and enjoy Ethan.
Thanks.
Very welcome indeed, and we can now speak to the man on the polar opposite of the results in the end. The man who finished in P2, it was FER Steph, and Steph in the end, once again, coming up against one of your former teammates, a bit of a full circle moment between the Shazoo and the FER teams, but P2 you must be very happy with, given how you pushed him in the final 4 laps.
Yeah, good evening, boys. It was my first time all in a pretty, because normally I'm not really a quali merchant, but I felt pretty confident at Spain. The first stint went very well. Just kept the lead, saved a bit ERS, tried to gap to Xenox, because sometimes he made a bit of a mistake, and I just tried to get him out of the second, but he had very low wings. And end of lap 13, Andrew pitted with a massive undercut, and that was pretty annoying for us, because we went end of lap 16, and he came right behind us with warm mediums, and we went with 70 degrees tires, so he got past us and we battled a bit, but that costed us time, and that's how X came in front. And the final few laps were very tough, because X had 1 lap fresher mediums, and Xenox also was pushing to get in front of me, so I had to use quite a bit sometimes. So that's how I couldn't regenerate ERS like more than X. But yeah, the final battle was very nice.
Yeah, the final battle was definitely very nice. As I say, it caught me by surprise, because I was expecting you to go to the outside. You then dummied him to the inside. You got the move done briefly, and then he was around the outside, and you would turn number 5 again, which was it's just absolutely brilliant. There was a full circle moment, definitely, in terms of the racing. And speaking about Xenox there as well, did you feel threatened by Xenox at the end of the final 2 laps? Because he was really pushing you.
Not really, because I knew that I had lower wings, so in sector 3 I was gapping him. So yeah, especially in the last chicane, I always had a better exit than him, also in the first stint, so I wasn't worried about that.
Definitely not, but still, P2 I think is an absolute solid result, continuing on, of course, the good FER form that Modesto first brought to EML Premier back in the day, winning, of course, in Season 2. Alex, coming across to you, any questions?
Well, yes, but I actually somehow managed to forget that question, so that's it's a bit unfortunate, that one. Well, first of all, I can say congrats also to you, Steph, because you did put on a very good fight there with Aurelian at the end. So very much a great result, I think, for the team as well. Your own finishing 5th, I think it was. So 2nd and 5th for FEI. I think you will be very happy with that overall. As I think you might just be outscoring Shazoo slightly, so you never know. You might still be coming back into this championship fight. And oh yeah, I remember my question again. There we go. Was there a part maybe where you were thinking, now that Xenox was behind you after that VSC restart, of course, Aurelian got caught napping slightly, and then it was you leading from Xenox. Did you think that this could maybe be a possibility to just drive away a little bit? Because we know, of course, Aurelian, the PSGL F2 championship leader, you were also his championship, well, contender in a way as well before you were promoted, of course, to Formula One, which is a brilliant achievement, by the way. So was there any point there where you thought perhaps Xenox slightly less known, less experienced with these no assist drivers? Was there a point where you were thinking, okay, now is the time to really go at it, really try and gap that Haas and maybe just get a little bit safer from that Haas behind?
Nah, the first 2 laps, I tried it to gap him, to get him out of the 1 second out of the DRS, but I quickly saw that he had way lower rings than me, so didn't really have a point to try it, because I would have just wasted my ERS for nothing to for him to be back in my because he could also regenerate his ERS much more easy with his low wings. But again, in the last chicane, I always found like two and a half tenths to him, so was on a big distance.
Okay, thank you very much. That's obviously great insight again from your side. I'm always really interested for the proper driving inputs because, as you may know, I'm also, of course, a driver myself. So this is really interesting to me. And yeah, thanks very much. Congratulations again for that 2nd place. And yeah, what about next week? Do you think you've maybe got a little to look out for as well in, I believe, Austria is the next round, round 5. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that one?
Don't know if I'll be driving. I'll still see, but if I'll be driving, Austria is just a decent track for me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next.
Yeah, that's great to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, I think, all from me as well, because we have got Austria next week as well. Good luck, Aurelian, by the way, on PSGLF2. Hopefully I'm not going to curse you whatsoever in terms of a potential championship fight, but both of you can go and enjoy your evening.
You too, guys.
You are very welcome indeed, and that rounds us up very neatly indeed, of course, for EML F1, or EML Premium 1, I should say, tonight. A big thank you to Steph and to Aurelian, of course, for joining us in the commentary booth,
evening, guys.
as always. Yeah, have a good evening, Aurelian. And that is it, as I say, for EML F1 tonight. A big thank you, as I say, to Aurelian and to Stefano for joining us in the commentary box, as always. Next week, of course, is Austria, completely different track to Spain. Should seem all the same, though, in terms of DRS trains, hopefully more overtaking, and hopefully, as well, a really good fight, maybe between the Shazoo and FER boys again.
Yeah, I think so. I think overall, even in Austria, it could be a slightly more mixed up grid due to just how short this track is. The gaps over there are so small, of course, in that Spielberg racetrack. It is always really, really tight there in qualifying. The shortest lap time on the calendar, but nothing is really going to be decided in qualifying at all, I reckon. It's just the DRS that might throw a spanner in the works there for the racing side, as I would believe a lot of drivers would be opting for pretty low downforce setups as to compared to the maybe a bit more variety there in Spain that we had today with multiple different types of corners, but of course the long straights there in Austria might promote a little bit more racing, or even throw a spanner in the works in terms of weather, because on my own end I've just come off a completely wet race in Austria, so everything's possible on that racetrack. Yeah, I'm actually looking really, really forward for that one because, yeah, there could be really anything happening from qualifying as well as to the race. I think it could provide us with a pretty mixed up grid and, yeah, hopefully an even better race.
Yeah, hopefully so indeed, and hopefully the good racing continues on, of course, to TML F1, the newly rebranded TML F1, which will include the F2 guys, of course. It will be line only from this point onwards as well, or line only and no assists, or a mix of the two, obviously more based on pace than anything. Myself and Ivan Bryn Mike should be taking you through the action tomorrow night, and then the newly rebranded TML F2 is happening on Friday night as well. Do not get confused. It's TML F3, just with a 2 in its name. It is literally that simple. Literally nothing changes from the F2, from the F3 grid. We have got a couple more reserves being added in. There's still, I've still got to sort people's roles out from the F2 guys and bring them into F1. It should, though, create, hopefully, full grid racing for both TML F1 and F2 forward. It's the best way for the league to thrive, and hopefully it invites more people in as well as the season goes on. Certainly up until the break week, which I'm sure is in about 2 or 3 weeks' time, if I'm not mistaken, certainly from a TML perspective. But that rounds us off very neatly, of course, for EML Premier 1 tonight. A big thank you to Mr. Alex the G for joining me, of course, in the commentary box, as always. And we are going to round it off here. So until next week, and also until tomorrow night as well, for TML F1, I've been James Head, he's been Alex the G. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Adios.